And so I knew who to go to see as an example of like, okay, I'm exposed to them. I'm exposed to what I really want. And so that is what's going to allow me to really be the dad that I need to be.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Dads on Purpose, the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ashford, man. And as always, I got the big homie KB. How you doing, bro?
What's up, family? As always, it's good to be on the Dads on Purpose podcast as the co-host and just to be chilling with my boy Josh. What's up, baby? How you doing?
That wasn't as like the usual.
Little subdued.
That was like I saw like last week, like he scared his wife. I don't know if you saw it, but
I did see that.
She was like, "Oh." She's like, that's a lot. But yo, privileged, honored, humbled, whatever, to have our honorary third guest, host, whatever you want to call him. He ain't been on in a while, man. Mr. DJ Inspires on. What's good, bro?
I was starting to think that y'all kicked me out. And,
we tried to have you on. You was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So
kick back.
This is true.
Back.
He was like, yo. Huh?
Self-care.
Self-care?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your favorite part of Hawaii, though? That's what
that's a good question. I mean, the whole island, well, I was in Oahu, but the whole island was beautiful. Like, we literally explored the entire island. But I think, besides the beaches, the highlight was probably hiking Cocoa Head Trail. That was dope.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Do your wife listen to this podcast? Because you ain't say nothing about being there with her just now.
At all.
First, so
no, don't try to clean it up.
This man backtracking. Look, y'all know DJ ran track, so right now he doing them backwards sprints.
backpedaling.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. All right. She don't listen to podcasts anyway, so that's cool.
You better watch out. Uncle Terry trying to take your spot.
Bro, Terry. Bro,
I'm about to get replaced. I get it.
Bro, he is coming. He was just like, hey, y'all gotta, he's like, let me know if y'all need me to host. I was like, first of all, what you talking about host? He's like, just like guest. No, Terry. Hey, man, here's the thing. First thing I want to talk about is this virtual meetup y'all got going on. Like, what is that all about? For everybody that don't know, like, Dads on Purpose, the virtual meetup is coming. I ain't got nothing to do with it, but I'm fully supporting it. I can't wait for these two men to do what they do when they do what they do it. But like, what all is gonna happen? How often is it happening, man? Like, what's up?
Man, so the virtual meetup, Dads on Purpose virtual meetup is all about our fathers. What we realized is that we needed to create a space for fathers to really, so that they can feel connected, a safe space where they can connect with other fathers so they can learn from other fathers, so we can grow with other fathers. And so it'll be held every first Sunday. Every first Sunday of the month, we'll host a Dads on Purpose virtual meetup. All you have to do is register so that you can get the sign in. And then once you register to get the sign in, you in that thing. And we're going to definitely do what we can to pour into you, as well as being poured into by the fathers that's on there. So it's just a great opportunity to create a space specifically for fathers so they can have a voice to be heard, so they can be supported and encouraged along the way. And DJ, I want DJ to talk about the triple-double that we always focus on when we mentor and when we coach dads. Talk about that triple-double, DJ.
Yes, so the triple-double can apply to anybody, but we are specifically going to have a conversation around the triple-double with our dads, and that is the best version of ourselves, because we realize that in order for us to be anything other than whatever it is, we got to be the best version of ourselves. Yeah. And then we tap into what does it look like to be the best dad that we can be. And then to kind of put it all together, we talk about how can we be the best either co-parent, the best spouse, whatever situation where we can support the other in our relationship or our parenthood or whatever we want to call it. And so it's just about us really pushing us and having that accountability on each other to really say, okay, I've been doing it a certain way, but I know that I could potentially get better. Or I don't even realize that I can get better because I'm not around other guys who are having conversations that I didn't even think of, or who are exposed to certain things in this fatherhood journey that I'm not even exposed to yet. Me and Kev was live yesterday, and we talked about this idea of I am a first generation dad. And we laughed because we're like, yo, I never heard of that. Like, I just made it up. Right. And what that means is my dad wasn't in my life. And my stepdad, you know, for a good portion was out of my life as well. And he wasn't even a good example of a dad. So it's like, I am on this dad journey, really doing it by myself, trying to figure it out, going through the ways in the journey. And in the beginning of my fatherhood, like, journey, it was just enough for me to be present. And I realized that I had to go above and beyond that to really get the most out of life, one, and two, continue to raise those bars that we, you know, if you come from struggle, been always having to raise the bars of our lives, whether it be being the first to graduate from high school and college and all those different things. And so, yes, I'm a first generation dad. And if you are a first generation dad, it will benefit you greatly to be a part of our Dads on Purpose virtual meetup, because we are here to support each other, and we ain't, our itch stink just like y'all's. Like, we ain't perfect, but the fact that we're doing this together is the best part about it.
Definitely.
What was you about to say, KB?
I was just saying, definitely. And remember, we're trying to develop as fathers as a whole. So the beautiful thing about this is that we have a bonus Sunday. So not only do you meet on first Sundays, so if you get in there and you're like, man, this is good, I got some homework, I got some stuff that I want to work on. Well, the third Sunday, homework, yes, Josh, absolutely. Because
Josh was that student.
We can't ask each other to work on something and then not follow up with it. So we did add a bonus Sunday on the third Sunday, and on that third Sunday, it's strictly just a check-in. So if you said, you know what, I wanted to be more present with my kid, well, on the third Sunday, you can come through and we just checking in to see how did that go? Where can you improve? How can you adjust so that you can continue to make sure that you're stepping in the process of growing as becoming a father? So that's a bonus. So everybody's listening. Yes, we have first Sundays, but there's a bonus Sunday just for some follow-up and another touch, just to make sure that you're actually implementing and doing the things that you said you wanted to do as a father. So I just wanted to make sure we added that in too.
Yep.
Man, that's so dope, because like DJ said something, man, like, first generation dad, I thought that being present was enough. And I hear this all the time, man. We're in this dad community, man, and we're talking, and everybody's just like, yo, you just need to be present. You just need to be present. Because I say it too. Like, I tell people, like, yo, you just need to be present. You need to love on your kids. You need to be present. Whoop, 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 whoop. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm here.
What now?
Right?
Absolutely.
And man, I think, like you said, DJ, like, taking it to that next step, which I don't even know what that next step is. And I'm sure you guys are going to talk about that. And I'm not going to let you talk about that right now, because they got to come to the meetup so they can get the information. We need to talk that with you guys. So we're just going to leave it right there. But man, I think that's so dope. Like, it's not enough to be present, but being present is step one. So like, if you want step 2 through 10, come to the meetup.
Yeah.
But, you also said something, man, and this wasn't planned. And I'm just like, y'all know I don't ever know what we're talking about. And so sometimes I just be scrolling, and sometimes things just pop up, and I'm just like, yo, like, that's what we need to talk about, man. And DJ posted something the other day, and it got me in my feelings, first of all, because it was a picture of you, and it was one of your pictures from Hawaii. But man, it said something like the effects of your exposure is your limits, or something like that. Here, I took a screenshot of it, so I'm gonna read it. So I ain't on the Fugazi stuff, because I knew I'll forget, because I'm getting old.
While you doing that, I want to hammer a point that you said about the being present, because as you were saying that, I was like, yo, there's levels to being present. What we are and what we've learned about being present is that you just got to be there. But now that we understand, when people tell you to be present, they might be telling you to be level 2 present. They might be telling you to be level 3 or level 4 present. And that does look different. Level 1 is just being there. Level 2 is, okay, how are you supporting them?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying there's levels.
Give away too much.
No, but no, you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right, because I'm listening to the book, Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. And bro, he was talking about that. He was talking about when you're present and like there's different levels to it, even in your company. Like, think about it. Like, as a father, yes, you might be at your daughter's volleyball game, but you sitting there in your phone and you answering emails, and you're just basically wasting your time and her time. Or you might be at work and someone's talking to you, and you might be talking to them, but at the same time, you're over here answering emails too. So it's just that's a rabbit hole. Don't get me down that. Let me go ahead and read this post real quick. What DJ said, man, the fire picture, man. So if y'all want to see this picture, y'all go to DJ Inspires All at Instagram. I'm not gonna show it to you. Go to the page. But he said, the more you're exposed to, the more you believe that anything is possible. The more you're exposed to, the more you believe anything is possible. And so we touched on exposure when we were talking about parenting, man. But it really got me. It really got me thinking, because here's the thing. No shade, no tea. I had I had breakfast with the homie today. He listens to the podcast. I love him to life. And matter of fact, he's gonna be on the podcast. I'm not gonna tell y'all when, because y'all don't even know who it is and whose business it was. But we were talking, man, and he was talking about, he's like, on the podcast, like, I heard you. He was talking about, I heard your number, that you want a monthly, cash flow. And my number is $84,000 a month passively. Like, bro, there's people that need me to be rich. So I don't know Fugazi stuff. That's the second time I said that. I might say the third time just because. But listen, and so we were talking, and he was like, he's like, this is my number, and I didn't ask him, but he was selling himself short, because I don't think he had been exposed to someone even claiming that type of number before. And so what I really want to talk about is, one, man, why is it that in this digital age where we have limitless information, do we still shortchange ourselves? Because DJ, you posted something else, because I've really been on your page. You posted something else about, you can have a plan, but you got to do the actions. And I'm like, everybody is exposed to all these different levels, not just financially, man, but involved parents. And I'm like, why is it that in this age, do we still sell ourselves short or not believe in ourselves? I don't believe that we don't deserve something else. I can keep going, but I'm gonna just let y'all go. I'm gonna get some water.
Kev, I'm gonna tee you up. I don't know. I feel like you. No? Okay. Well, I will go in on it. So you said something. You said that people are exposed to things. Yes and no. Like, it's readily available to people, but they're not necessarily exposed to it. They're not necessarily in those different things that allow them to see for themselves what's possible. So for me, the reason why I thought of that is when I was younger, my life literally is in two phases. It was before foster care and it was after foster care, right? Or during. So before, like, we rarely went out of town. I barely went out of state. Like, I just remember us, being poor. Like, the level of exposure was nil. Yeah. We was barely getting it. I remember lights being off at a certain time. Like, it was a struggle. And so when literally, as soon as we moved out of my mom's home and into my grandma's home, into the foster care system, she sent us one day. She was like, after y'all get out of school, y'all need to go around the corner to the center. And I was like, what you mean, lady? Like, I just want to chill at the house, watch some Pokemon. Like, what you talking about? Pokemon. And so we, around the corner, it ended up being the best decision ever. Like, so while at the center, they have different games, they had activities, they had all these things, but I ended up meeting my mentor. And so not only was that an impactful thing, meeting my mentor. But the center itself, who was ran by a Black man, he was the director of it. They would have Saturday school, and in Saturday school, we would learn about Black culture in Africa and all these different things, right? I remember one time we did a mock underground railroad.
Nice.
Like, so we were runaway slaves and we were enacting what it felt like to be in that time. So exposure, right? I'm exposed to like, whoa, this is a different world. This is a different experience. My mentor would take us on trips. So he would take us to Pacers games. I'm from Indiana. So he would take us to Pacers games. He took us to a Colts game at one time. He took us to museums. So like exposure to different entities, different possibilities. So like when we say exposure, people really got to feel, they got to see, and they got to sense what's possible. It's not enough just to know that it's on the internet. It's not enough just to know that it's a possibility. Like they literally have to see it, feel it, sense it in order to fully be exposed to it. And so when we say your level of exposure allows you to see what's possible, allows you to know that anything is possible. What my mentor did for me is I literally believe I could do anything I put my mind to. And that's why I'm a person who, I did a post recently about how I came up with an idea for a shirt, ran it by my family. Yeah. Got the idea designed, send it to my shirt guy. He sent me the mock-up. Those shirts are ordered. They'll be here in a week or so. Like, I don't play games because I know what's possible because of the exposure. And so I wanted to break that down of like, yes, people can be exposed to different things. The internet is open. You can search and do all these different things, but you got to see it. You got to feel it. You got to taste it. You got to sense it in order to say, okay, I could do this. Like, there's nothing I can't do.
Yeah. Kev wants to jump in.
I totally agree.
I'm not going to cut you off. Go ahead.
I totally agree. I think, for me, it's exposure, opportunity, and support, right? Yep. Exposure has so many levels to it because so we're in Fort Worth, and our biggest playground in Fort Worth is Six Flags in Arlington. So you can take a kid and you can drive a kid to buy Six Flags all the time, right? They're exposed to it. They know it's there. They see the roller coasters, but they don't know what the experience is like. So they still are excited about Six Flags. They want to go. They want to experience it. So that's one level of exposure. The next level is like, hey, we're going to Six Flags. Oh, we finally get to go to Six Flags? Yes, exactly. I'm excited. So when you get to Six Flags, then you realize how big the park is and all of the fun stuff that it has. This is your first time at Six Flags. Now you're saying, okay, how do I get exposed to the roller coaster? And I think this is what happens, Josh. What happens is we know the Texas Giant is it. Like, if I want to get scared and I just want to, I
don't like roller coasters. That's why I'm shaking my head. And the Texas Giant, that's that ride that where it go up. And then you just chill right here and you just looking down. And the next thing you know, you going straight down and you going underground. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. But go ahead.
But what happens is, so we have the Texas Giant, and then we have the green machine or whatever it's called with the loop-de-loops. So, and then you have just a regular roller coaster that just goes up and down, up and down. What happens is sometimes we get exposed to the Giant and it scares us all get out, and we say, you know what, we can't do that. I am not ready for that. I'm not, like, that's fun, but I can't do that anymore. And then after you ride the Giant, then you go ride the regular Coney Island, and you're like, but I can do this. I'm great at this. I love to do this. And then sometimes what we do with our exposure, we get stuck in what we're comfortable in, and we never grow in our exposure, in our experiences, because we jumped into something too quick and it didn't turn out right. If that makes sense.
Let me stop you right there, Kev, because I got a question. This just popped in my mind. So you talking about we get comfortable in our little area. What about the people that are exposed to something, they don't like it, but they repeat it? So in my mind, I'm thinking about, there's a statistic out there that, women that come from fatherless homes are more likely to have fatherless kids. So if we know that we've experienced fatherlessness, why is it that we're more likely to have kids that are from fatherless homes? Like how does that equate if our exposure was, yo, I had this, I didn't like it, but now I'm repeating the cycle.
The other side of exposure is that they didn't get exposed to having a father in the home. So they don't know what it looks like to have that as their kid is going, and they have every intention to say, I want my child to have their father because I know what it's like not to, but they don't necessarily know what it's like to have their father in there, because that exposure, the other side of exposure is that they weren't exposed to that. So that's when I say I'm a first generation dad.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of have an idea what it was like to have a father figure in my life, but my dad wasn't there. Like that connect. Like I remember crying from it, like different moments of him not being there. And so now as I'm going through the journey, I'm like, okay, I have an idea of who I can go to because they have been exposed and they know what it's like to be in their child's lives, my mentor and other men in my life. And so I knew who to go to see as an example of like, okay, I'm exposed to them. I'm exposed to what I really want. And so that is what's going to allow me to really be the dad that I need to be. I know Kev was going to jump in here.
And then you have two broken people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we can't just put that on the woman. Like we can't just put that on the woman. Like, hey, you came from a.
I'm not putting it on you.
I know.
I
know. It was just a statement, but I know we got our ladies listening. They're like, well, hold on. Like, that's not why I entered into this, because then you also have two limited exposed people trying to develop something that they both have not been exposed to. So because I know for me being me being exposed to fatherhood and having a father in my life, I know for me and my progress as a father and my progress in my marriage was I have to be present and I have to give and I want to develop a relationship because I know what that looks like. Sometimes we have relationships where even the father doesn't even know he's coming from a fatherless home. He's coming from a broken situation. And so he doesn't even know how to be present and keep the fatherless and end the fatherless epidemic that we have. Yep. So it still deals with exposure. And watch this. We was talking to Calvin. We was talking to Calvin on Clubhouse, and he said something very important. And he said, like, even as fathers, even good, like if you're a good father, our reach extends past our household. It has to extend to others. So other people do have the opportunity to be exposed if we play our part right and show them what fatherhood looks like, right? So I think it all has to deal with exposure and different levels of exposure. But what we talked last week with our wives, also communication. Like we have to communicate where we are in our level of exposure, right? When you got your mentor started probing your mind, started asking you questions. He wanted to see who you were as a whole. He wanted to figure out what haven't you been exposed to, what have you been exposed to, and what do you need to be exposed to in order for you to get to the level that you need to get to. And I think sometimes living in different levels of exposure and then getting glimpses of what we can be can either hinder us or it can push us to grow. It just really depends on where our mindset is and what kind of support we have around us. As I said, 3 things that I used to stand by was exposure. Now that I got you exposed, what opportunities with the exposure that you've gotten to implement that? Some of us have been exposed, Josh and DJ, but we have not had an opportunity to implement any of those things that we've been exposed to. We haven't had anybody it's like, I'll teach you math. Well, you got to practice the math. And then once you practice the math, you take a test to make sure you understand what we practice. So a lot of people have been exposed, but they haven't had any practice, haven't had any opportunity to act on it. And then they lack the support. So I think with exposure, you have to have opportunities to work in those things that you're exposed to. And then you also need some support to come behind you. So when you do feel like you're not enough, when you do feel like you're not good enough, when you do feel like the thing you're trying to reach is too big, somebody can come behind you and say, you know what? You're made for this. This is what you were made for. Go for it. And I think that's the added. I think that's the added pieces to exposure that we need to uplift anyone who's being exposed.
Yo, my bad, man. My wife, she know we're recording, so she want to go in and out the front door and get the alarm going off. Hey, she gotta get outside. She gotta get outside. It ain't her fault, man. That, you know what, y'all just really shed some light on something for me, because this whole conversation, man, of being exposed and things like that. I think about the story of the set of twins that had an alcoholic dad. One grew up and became an alcoholic. They were like, "Oh, why you become an alcoholic?" He was like, "My dad was an alcoholic. I had no choice." And then he's got the other brother. He becomes successful, and they're like, "Oh, you had an alcoholic dad. How are you becoming successful?" He's like, "My dad was an alcoholic. I had no choice." And so it's kind of like you said, DJ, it's kind of the tale of two sides. Like, oh, you were exposed to an alcoholic dad. That's what you got to be with. But this guy that was successful, he is a first generation success. So he's just like, yo, I ain't had no choice. Like, I can't be my pops. So, man, y'all are fired. DJ, what's going on over there, man? Who making all that noise?
My family's here, man. I can't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mother's here. I'm sorry, my wife is here. My father-in-law is here. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just
turn up.
You know what? Do he want to jump on and give some words of wisdom?
Probably not. No, so many good things, and I think if we want to move towards action steps, right? Like, you hear us talking about exposure. Kev had an awesome breakdown of it. Maybe you heard just kind of what my take was on it. I think more importantly is we got to get out of a mind frame that when people are successful and they are exposed to certain things, that they're an anomaly, that it's lucky, that it's something that's just outer worldly, that's not possible for you. Like if we can talk about it, is there anything too tough for your God? Like, is there, like, if we're gonna preach on it, like, we're gonna talk about it?
I can't play no songs.
I need us to be reminded that our faith will take us a long way, and we got to believe first what is possible. We have to believe. I think it started for me, like, of course, when I got exposed, but I think even before then, like, I had aspirations to be something, be some. I just literally thought of Sister Act. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention.
Pay attention.
Exactly. But it started with belief. Yeah. And then the exposure came, and then I had to activate the faith. And some of y'all may need to activate the faith and understand, like, okay, I believe that this is possible for me. And if you don't have anybody in your circle who has done the things that you want to do, there's nobody in my family that I know who started a business that I know of. And so when I was starting my business, I did the research and went on YouTube. And then I was like, all right, what business owners do I follow that I can? David Shands was one of the, first people that I started following, and other people, Eric Thomas. There's so many different people on social media that I was just following and just getting gems from, of like, how do I do this? But one of the things that I learned from all of them is that you got to take the first step. Yeah. Is that you got to move. You got to take action, because eventually you're going to be tired of doing things the way that you've always done it. And eventually you're going to be like, I want better for myself. I want more for myself. And I think that's what ultimately I did and have been doing, which is allow me to really execute and take action on things that I want to get done.
Yeah.
Man, exposure. No, I'm laughing because I'm just like DJ was going in, and I was just like, yo, like, this is fire. And I'm like, every gem that you drop, and I'm just like, yo, how do I write that down? How do I write that down? but listen, look, you talking about it like, yo, exposed, like you were exposed, like you saw David Shands, like you saw E.T., but you're like, yo, I have to take a step. And I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of dads, a lot of business people, man, a lot of whatever's out there that you're exposed. Like, this world, man, we have so much information. You can see whatever
out there.
Like, you can hashtag on Instagram Maldives, and you can see everything in the Maldives. But look, you're exposed to it. You can get to it, but you got to make a step to get there. You can't walk. You can't walk to the Maldives. Even if you wanted to, you still got to walk. You got to take the first step. You got to buy a plane ticket. Like, you got to have some money. Like, there are steps in whatever you want to do, in whatever you're exposed to, but there requires action. And man, that's
action. It requires, it requires action. It requires belief. I'll end my take with this, right? I remember posting something to the extent of, I spoke every good thing that has happened to me in my life. I spoke every good thing that has happened to me in my life. I spoke Hawaii. I remember at one point a couple of years ago, like, oh, I never been to Hawaii, but I will go someday. Just went a couple weeks ago. Like, so believe it, speak it into existence, and then put action into it. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, God doesn't make a fool of himself. And so I know that's how my faith operates. I'm going to put something into the atmosphere. I'm going to say, this is going to happen. And God's going to be like, well, you ain't about to make a fool of me. I'm going to make it happen for you. Right. And so, but it starts with us having faith. It starts with us believing that these things are even possible for us.
Yo, put that into the atmosphere, whatever it is, man. Because just like you said, like you spoken into the atmosphere, man. I spoken into the atmosphere that I'm going to take my family to Hawaii, first class trip. We're about to do a deal in about 5 months. Your boy don't have cash to go ahead and do that. Exactly. I cash if I want to. And so it's just, speak that. That's why I'm speaking. It's $84,000 a month, $84,000 a month.
Same.
Like, bruh, it's coming. Kev, you have something to say.
And we gotta get exposed to the right things too at the right time. I think sometimes when we're exposed to those things, we're not ready for it. You know, when we're exposed to the big things, are we ready for it, or does that fit in my plan or the values that I have for myself and my house? Because I think sometimes people are on the right path to get whatever income that God's gonna bless them with that income, but they get exposed to something else, and they're like, but that's even better, and that's easier. My question is, even though you're exposed to that, is that something that you need to be trying to implement into your life? Is that something that you really need to try to hold on as a goal? Because I think I just feel like that not everybody's ready, or not everybody is a six-figure person. Not everybody's a
that's fine, person. Bro. But here's my thing. I don't think there's ever a bad time to be exposed to something. Like, I'm a big fan of starting with the end in mind. So I need to see the end anyway, so I can know where I want to go. But listen, everybody don't start off being born eating steak. Like, nobody is born eating steak. Like, you have baby, like there are steps. Like, you got to take a step, but you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't go from, you know what I'm saying, riding your little dirt bike at the house off the little curb to being in the X Games. Like, it just don't work like that. You can get, like, there's levels to this. And so I don't think there's anything wrong, man, with being exposed to like the highs of the highs and seeing your goal, man, and being like, like, that's where I want to be. But you have to also be self-aware and being like, like, I don't got Grant Cardone money. I can't just buy a jet. Bro, I can't go buy a car cash. You know what I'm saying? So I'm working on Hot Wheels. You feel me? And so that's just, you have to understand where you're at in the process, man. And if you're not aware of where you're at, then I don't really think you're ready for that dream anyways.
Exactly.
Whatever it is. I'm ready for a good marriage, but you out here being a thought. You're not.
See, now. Mic drop.
That's it. That was all of it.
Look, I didn't mean to shut it down so abruptly. KB, I mean, we can't shut it down because I know DJ got to go, man. You got to go pick up Kai. But DJ, what final thoughts, man? What you got?
I think we gotta hear this message and apply it wherever you are at, right? If you're at the beginning stages and you're looking at everybody else and you're like, how come everybody else is balling? How come everybody else is getting it? How come everybody, whatever? Like, you just got to ask the question of like, okay, what is it going to take for me to get it? Like, getting our mind away from what everybody else is doing and really fixating our energy on what is it that I need to do to get to the goals and the levels that I want to get to. And then it's figuring out what is it that you need to be exposed to make your dreams a reality, your goals a reality. And I think that's all we're saying. Like, we're not balling out of control, but we're doing better than we were last year or 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago. And so I think you just have to reflect, self-assess what we talked about yesterday, and just figure out where you are and take the necessary steps, have the necessary conversations. I posted something about my shirts and I had a couple people reach out to me like, hey, how do I take the steps? I'm like, boom, I got you. This is what I know. This is what I do. Here's, just giving them the tips, because it helps being exposed to people who have gone through the process, who have gone through the fire. So that's what I would just have for people out there, to just take those necessary steps and connect with the people that's going to help you get there.
KB. Man, bro. Have the dream. Have the dream. If you don't have a dream, if you don't have a vision, it's hard for the exposure to stick. It's hard because then you're stuck in a rat race on trying to get the nice car by doing regular things. You can't do regular things and just expect everything else to fall through there. I think we should work on being extraordinary and having big dreams and big goals for ourselves, for our families. And I think that's what helps, because I've seen people who've had no dreams start developing dreams with exposure. And I've seen people who've had some dreams just explode because of the exposure that they were able to obtain. Have dreams, have ambitions for yourself, have ambitions for your family. If you want to be a better father, what does that look like for you so that you can get the right exposure of what you need in order for you to be successful in that? Does it make sense? DJ got some noise going on over there.
Look, somebody at DJ house washing dishes.
Washing clothes.
But definitely, my thing is have a vision. Have a vision for your dreams. Have a vision for what you want to accomplish. And then when you see the exposing opportunity of the things that you're exposed to, add those things to your vision to amp it up, to rev it up. And if you're exposed to those things for the first time, build a dream and vision around those things. That's what I would. That's all I have.
That's it.
And all I got is for you guys to go to tlcbrand.com. Yo, the brand for fathers, by fathers. All three of us got on the fatherhood over everything. Yo, we really live this, guys. If you're a dad, if you love your kids, if you love to show off that you love your kids, go to tlcbrand.com, man. Use the code DADLIFE. That's Dad Life, 20% off your first order. Man, we'll see y'all next week. Take care. Be great. Peace.